Hey guys, and welcome back to NoBlandMakeup, where we do makeup and body paint tutorials, usually with a cosplay twist, and today I am going full Pokemon. I'm doing Sabrina from Pokemon. She's one of the gym leaders. Nobody asked for this. I just kind of felt like doing it, so there you go. So if you enjoy Pokemon, you want to see more Pokemon like body paint cosplays, let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. So to start off, don't wear a green wig with a green screen. I promise you it will not end the way you think it does. So we're going to start off by applying some foundation. She's pretty pale, but I didn't really have a pale foundation, so I just went with my own. And just make sure you blend it out, give yourself a nice even base to work with. If you want to block out your eyebrows, you can. I didn't do it for this video just because the bangs where they're supposed to sit covered everything pretty well, so I just kind of kept it where it was. Yeah, so about here is where I realized I have a green wig on and I have a green screen, and I should have probably switched it to the blue screen, but I was too lazy and that was not a smart idea. Moving on to the cosplay though. So I'm gonna start drawing out her eyes. They're not rounded like you see in a lot of the other characters I've done, like Bulma and Chi-Chi. They're more like, I want to say more like not a parallelogram, but like a trapezoid kind of. So you just want to keep in mind that the top part is going to be a little bit longer as far as the eye than the bottom line, so kind of just keep that in mind. Also, you kind of want to angle it towards your nose as opposed to going straight across. She is a very angry little person. You are going to want to keep in mind though, when you're doing the actual pupils for her eyes, to keep them even on both sides. I would do it in parts, kind of like just to give yourself the shape, and you can kind of compare them to both sides as opposed to just doing like one eye completely and then doing the other one. That's why I did the white parts first, then went over with the black, and so on and so forth. Then once you have the like eye parts actually drawn out, I start outlining the eye with some black. So you don't want to like go all the way around her eye. It's mostly just the bottom that has kind of like an outline sort of, and then on the top it almost looks like she has eyeliner as opposed to like drawn on eyelashes. So just kind of keep those details in mind, and then when you're drawing in the actual pupil, you also want to keep in mind that you want to keep them even. So I would use thinner lines and just kind of follow that shape that you drew out in the white. That's mostly why I did it, so that way when I went in with black, I kind of already have an outline, so to speak, to go with. And then if I had to thicken up the lines a little bit, I could, and it would be a little bit easier just because putting darker colors on top of lighter colors, they're more likely to show up. Now once you have all that drawn out, you're going to start doing the details for the eyes, so coloring in the actual color, in this case purple, I hope. Purple. You're also gonna want to do like a little bit of a highlight, so it kind of looks like she's looking at something. Just keep in mind the direction that highlight's going for both eyes, and you also want to draw in her pupil. Now for the pupil, I would honestly just start off drawing it a little bit smaller than what you intend, and then kind of like building it up or making it a little bit bigger if you need to. That way you don't have to kind of like wipe everything off. It makes it a lot easier if you add to something as opposed to trying to take away once it's already there. Trust me, I know I've messed that up a lot. It's kind of my thing. Once I've got that, I just basically drew on what is going to be my nose, a couple detail lines, and that's it for that. Since she doesn't really have, I don't want to say she doesn't have lips, but she doesn't really smile or anything. Her mouth is literally just a line. I took some concealer and some foundation because the concealer looked a little bit too bright, and I basically neutralized all the color of my lips, and then just on my lower lip, I actually used that as a guide to draw on my new mouth, which actually worked because if I need to smile, it still shows. I've done it on my top lip before. It doesn't work out super well, and at least this way, if I want to actually make an expression, you'll see it. So there's that. And then once you're done with that, we're just gonna basically outline her face. Just keep in mind that her chin is kind of pointy, so when you do that outline, you kind of want to have a pointy chin as well. Also, if you have a double chin like I do, what you can do is take some of that black body paint and almost like you're contouring, just kind of like make that line a little thicker under your chin. That way when you're looking straight into the camera, it doesn't emphasize that. I also learned that the hard way. Her eyes were pretty much the hard part. As far as her like dress jacket thing goes, I did the buttons first just because yellow is going to be the lighter color, so that way if I mess up I can always go over it with. Once you have those dots in, you just want to basically outline the collar for her like dress shirt thing, I don't know. And you're gonna paint yourself red for the most part. You do want to leave a little bit of space though, close to where your hands are, so you can kind of do that black whatchamacallit, like cuff that she has around that part of her shirt. And you want to make sure you go carefully around the yellow dots and everything like that, just so you don't have to like go back in and redo them or anything. I used the Graftobian Pro Paint. I didn't like it. It's like super patchy, I don't know, like, and I tried using different amounts of water and stuff like that, so I wouldn't recommend that one. I usually use the wolf one, and that one's pretty good. I haven't had any issues with it. So I was just trying something different. It didn't work out, but I thought I would let you guys know. And then once you're done with that, really the only thing left to do is outline everything, so that way it kind of comes together. So I outlined the collar because, like, duh, cartoon. But I also went ahead and outlined the outside of me. So if you're doing this like to go outside, I would definitely like outline your fingers and everything like that, so you have those lines that look more cartoony. Also, I would not stand in front of anything that's green. Just want to make that perfectly clear. Yeah. And you want to make sure for like anything that has a little more detail, just use a smaller brush. I tried using it with bigger brushes. It's annoying. It's annoying. So just keep that in mind when you're doing this. And yeah. So this is the finished look. I hope you guys liked it. I definitely had fun. I feel like Sabrina is probably my favorite. Also, that episode of Pokemon was freaking awesome. So if you guys enjoyed this, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Subscribe to see what comes out of my channel next. I stroked out apparently. And let me know who your favorite Pokemon characters are in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!